to the SOS Candidate Forum Series, Park Forest Trustee Forum this evening, March 21st, 2021, starting at 5 o'clock. Welcome to everyone who is participating tonight. We are more than honored to have with us two of the candidates running for trustee in Park Forest. We want you to know that early voting begins Monday, March 22nd through Tuesday, April 5th, 2021. Vote on Election Day, April 6th, 2021. Where? Find your local polling place at www.cookcountyclerkil.gov. Who? Preview your ballot at www.cookcountyclerkil.gov/your-voter-information. Write down the names of your chosen candidates and positions for your reference. This is the itinerary this evening. We will have the welcome we just had. We'll tell you a little bit about SOS. Then we'll talk a little bit about the rules of engagement. We'll move on from there to the introduction of candidates. After that, the explanation of questioning procedures pre-event, during event, and SOS questionnaires. We'll explain all of that then. And then we'll talk about, then the candidate forum will begin. We'll begin to ask questions at that time from three pools of questions. Candidate closing remarks, and then we'll have a formal forum closing from SOS host. So, and at that point, we will let you know about upcoming forums, forum events, okay? What is SOS and what is its current purpose? SOS is a grassroots group whose purpose it is to promote a community that is informed, educated, and activated to ensure a well-educated, empowered electorate that will utilize the power of the vote to place into office well-vetted and qualified government officials who understand that they are in office as public servants to well serve their electorates. These are the rules of engagement. We ask everyone to follow them closely. Candidates must arrive on time to participate in the forum. Late arrivals will not be admitted. There will be an opportunity for everyone to log on up to 15 minutes before the forum start time. Candidates will be required to have their video camera on with full view of their person or face, as there will be participants with visual or auditory challenges that are hearing impaired and lip read. Audience and or candidates should mute their microphone while others are speaking. Audience members should have their first and last names displayed on their video frame. If assistance is needed to modify the display name, alert the host verbally or through the chat function. Please be respectful, polite, and courteous to everyone present during the forum. Please tell us your name before you ask the candidates a question, preferably with your video camera on during the interaction. Please speak in clear, normal voice volumes throughout the forum so that everyone may hear and understand your communications, as there will be participants, again, with visual auditory challenges that are hearing impaired and lip read. Please make certain you follow directions, rules of proper decorum to the best of your ability. Under no circumstances will disruptive, rude, accusatory, or otherwise demeaning behaviors be tolerated. Participants misbehaving this way will be removed and not allowed to re-enter the event. Ask one question at a time. If you have multiple questions, please type them into the chat so that we can get them answered after everyone has had their chance to ask at least one question. SOS will decide if follow-up is necessary. These are the candidates running for Park Forest Trustee candidacy. There are 3 seats and there are 6 people running. Jerome Brown, Maya Hardy, Judy Hawthorne, Teresa Settles, Aaron Sloan, Joshua Justin Travis. Candidates who did not receive mail questionnaires due to the USPS mail delivery delays have an asterisk by their name. So that would be Judy Hawthorne. Candidates with the less than symbol by their names were candidates who requested questionnaires but did not complete and submit by the deadline. Candidates with the little tent sign by their symbol by their name are candidates who did not receive mailed form invitation due to USPS mail delivery delays. So some of the candidates may have not received what they needed to be on tonight. So we understand that. Thank you. SOS questionnaire respondents. We had 2, Maya Hardy and Aaron Sloan. These 2 candidates chose to complete and submit the SOS questionnaire by the deadline. For their effort and cooperation, they will receive one additional minute for every opportunity to speak during this forum, and will be the first in line to answer questions alternating between the 2 candidates. So we usually do that when we have more than just the 2. So we would just switch back and forth between the 2 of you this evening, and you will get a minimum of 3 minutes to address the questions. We do know that. And by the way, thank you for responding to the vetting process. That is so important for the electorate. So many people don't know about our elections, and so they don't vote or they don't participate. And of course, we don't get the level of government then that we should have and the support from the community. So thank you, and thank you for running for office. So our questions will come out of 3 pools. Pool 1 is questions from the mailed SOS candidate questionnaire selected by SOS. That's the host. So that's one pool of questions. Another pool of questions is the pre-event questions submitted online via Facebook and SOS email. So we had none submitted, so we won't be using that pool of questions. Pool 3 are questions submitted live during this event. And so we have 2 pools we'll be pulling from today. The questions that you answered on the questionnaire, and also questions submitted live during this event.
Okay, so that's kind of the introduction, and we can begin with our candidate introduction. So let me switch this to kind of a view where we can make sure that the speaker is getting the spotlight, and we will go in alphabetical order. So Miss Maya Hardy, Mrs. or Ms. or Mrs.
Miss.
Is it Miss? Miss, okay, Miss Maya Hardy. I don't want to speak and disrespect anybody or anybody's husband or partner. So we will have you begin the introduction, and then for the first question, then Aaron, you will be able to begin that first question, and we'll alternate back and forth so that each of you have a chance to answer first. So for the
3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Yep, we're gonna. Yep. So usually, usually we have a 2-minute window when there's multiple, lots more candidates. We'll do a 2-minute window and 1 additional minute if you filled out that questionnaire. So you would have 3. So we'll just start with 3 because both of you filled out that questionnaire and we appreciate that so much. We'll start out with 3, but if it goes over by a little bit, we've got the time because it's just the 2 of you alternating rather than there being 6 of 6 people. We have more time, so we'll allow you to go over 3 minutes. But I will be keeping a timer where I'll try to keep I'll do my best to make sure that you're getting equal amounts of time. Okay. So we'll go ahead and start with you, Maya, to just give an introduction. Tell us about yourself.
Tell us about
and then, yeah. So let me put the spotlight on you so that we can see you bigger. There we go.
There you
and
are.
You could go whenever you are ready, ma'am.
Thank you. I don't need the spotlight. But if you insist. Okay. Okay. So I think we're in evening time now. So I want to say good evening, and I want to say thank you to the SOS organization for having this forum and to all of the people taking time out to view it. As you said, my name is Maya Hardy. I'm currently a trustee on the board of the Village of Park Forest, and I've been on the board for almost 2 years. Just to do a quick recap of my bio, I've lived in Park Forest for a little over 20 years. I'm a proud mother of 3. I obtained my bachelor's and master's degree from Governor State University. And for over 8 years, I've worked for the United Way of Metropolitan Chicago as the chief professional officer. And basically what I do is I just represent the entire South Suburban region, from community impact to fundraising and anything that falls under it. I'm a strong supporter, as you can see, of community advocacy and impact. It's what I do for a living, and I really enjoy it. But it's also afforded me the time to enjoy being on the board because I've had the opportunity to make a difference. I've helped to bring resources. I'm doing my short period during the pandemic, PPE resources, as well as starting a Park Forest Community Cares Fund to help residents with their water bill, partnering with Respond Now, which is also a United Way partner. And then tomorrow, I'm sure we will be passing this resolution to start a civilian police and fire advisory council. So I take this job very seriously. And because it is a job. A lot of people, you see us out in events and you see us on the dais, but there's a lot of things to do behind the scenes, a lot of reading, a lot of research. And so it is a job. But I always promise to listen to the concerns of our residents and take them back to the rest of the board as well as our village manager. I like working with the board. I promise to work with every board member. I'm definitely a team player. I always say quite often, I will call everyone on the board to let them know how I feel about something individually and then get their feedback as well. That's important. And also I enjoy working with the village manager. We have a council manager form of government. And sometimes I even get to work with staff when I'm creating initiatives alongside the village manager. And I enjoy that as well. Aside from policy making, I'd like to bring, if I'm reelected in the next 4 years, several things to the table that involve community initiatives, like supporting our challenged, income challenged seniors and veterans and disabled communities. I have an agenda of initiatives, but you have to give me 4 more years in order to get them started and completed. But that's what I'm looking to do. And I'm humbly asking for your vote in order to be able to do that. So thank you.
Right on time. Did you have a timer going for yourself?
I didn't.
You literally ended as my timer was going off.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. You're all good. So let me find Aaron. Where are you? There you go. Okay. Let me switch the spotlight. There we go. All right, Aaron, go right ahead. Thank you.
So good evening.
About yourself. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Erin Sloan. I'd like to thank SOS for hosting this forum, but also for being created. It's exciting to see citizens get involved, engaged, and to really take the initiative to demand accountability and better government. My family moved to Park Forest nearly 40 years ago, first as renters, and then having fallen in love with the community, purchased a home in Lincolnwood, and they raised me and my sister, who is on the line today. And my parents still are in the community. I was educated in districts 163, 162. I studied for 1 year at Rich Central in 227 before being accepted to Illinois Math and Science Academy in Aurora. While at IMSA, it was a part of the culture. It was ingrained that the state of Illinois and the taxpayers invested in our education dollars. And it was our duty as students to remain in state and to pay back what was sold into us through service and leadership. And that is why I'm sitting before you guys here today. I graduated with honors from the University of Chicago studying economics. I served as a municipal finance investment banker for over 13 years, where I advised city, state, and local governments across the country on all sorts of large capital projects, debt markets, public-private partnerships, infrastructure, you name it. I got a master's at Northwestern in integrated marketing and communications, and I've been advising small businesses and tech startups on business strategy and operations. I moved back to Park Forest about 5 years ago. I was longing the peace and quiet and the friendly neighbors and grass, and most importantly, the safety of my childhood home that invested a lot in me. So it's now my opportunity and my honor, if I'm elected, to use my experience and skill set to give back to Park Forest and the next generation. So when I first came back, it was trying to reorient myself. I participated in Park Forest Civic Leadership Academy in 2018, where we were educated on all matters concerning the village. I'm currently a member of the Park Forward's League of Women Voters. I volunteer pads. I was a member of the village's the Census Total Count Initiative. And I also sit on a couple of nonprofit boards. It's really an honor to be able to answer real questions that are coming from, concerned constituents. I'm looking forward to answering those, and let's just have fun.
Have a great discussion this evening. Thank you very much. Well, we're going to stay with you, and then we'll switch back and forth like that to give both of you a chance to go first and then next like that. Okay. So, Aaron, tell me about these 4 items and where they fit with you as a candidate, and then, of course, when elected to office. And you notice I use the term when.
Yeah,
when
I appreciate that.
How will that translate? A little bit about that. So the areas are transparency in government, community involvement, participation in decision making, accountability reporting to your constituency, and accessibility to your public. That would be question 3 on your questionnaire if you have it in front of you.
Mm-hmm. All right. And
so
all of this
you begin
in 3 minutes.
So I was going to say, before you begin, I don't know if you both Maya and Aaron, if you notice that I send little reminders of 1 minute left, 30 seconds left in your messages in your chat function. So have the chat pulled up so that you'll see, where you're at with time. That's how I send them in. So I'm doing that as my timer is getting close to 1 minute. I'll send 1 minute in there. And just so you'll see that in there to look for it. And yes, so if we want to have all of that, Connie, or is there one piece of it that we want to?
Well, I would like to hear all of that. And I don't want to switch between them. I want to keep them focused. So what I'd like to do is we're giving them 3 minutes, correct? But for that one, can we afford to give them 4? Because that's 4 items, that's a minute per item.
Sure, we can do that.
Okay, all right, so you'll have 4 minutes for this one, okay?
4 minutes,
so we'll start with
transparency
in government, We'll start with that. Then we'll go to community involvement or participation in decision making.
Okay.
We'll leave that and go to accountability reporting to your constituents. And we'll leave that and go to accessibility to your public.
Okay.
How accessible are you to your public? Do you want to be? Those kinds of things. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, one thing that makes Park Forest very different from all of the municipalities that I've interacted with professionally is the level of transparency. Many people say that, but for Park Forest of every item from our financials to meetings, posting for people to actually know what's being discussed at those meetings, and just about anything that you can look for can be found on our website. That I think is just an indication of how upstanding and honest people are. The way that the board functions and the village functions. That's something that needs to continue. I think when it comes to, but the only way that can be a powerful thing is if the public actually uses it. Many people say, I didn't know. Well, that information is out there and it's available. I think the board and the village can do a better job of communicating with people, making that information a little bit easier to access. Our website has tons of information, but it can be difficult to navigate. So I think packaging it in a way, in smaller bite-sized chunks, in ways outside of, just our water bill insert. What about people who use things that are digital or those who don't get water bills? There are ways that we can communicate better, and that's something that I definitely want to focus on. When it comes to community involvement and participation, Park Forest has a number of commissions. Again, everything that is decided upon, that is discussed, except for those things that are in executive session, those things are all accessible to the public. And that is if people are, we all are concerned about our community, if the invitation is open to join a commission, from anything from the seniors to housing, to the telecom, to police and fire. There are even beautification. There are a number of ways the youth commission as well. There are a number of ways to get involved. And I think it's one to make sure that that's kept in front of people's faces of, hey, you can have a say in things that are going on. And accountability and accessibility. Listen, every single person on that board is elected by the residents to represent their hopes, dreams, desires, as well as make decisions that are for the health and safety of the community. And it is up to every single trustee to take to really honor that vote and that trust that's been placed in them to make those decisions in the best interest of the public. It's not one to say, oh, I don't have to interact with you because I sit on the dais and you don't. That's not how it works here. We're your neighbors. We go to church with you. We sit next to you at Theater 47. There is no way that we can make any decisions unless we have real communication with the public. One of the things that I would like to do is to go out to the community. Yes, there are the rules meetings once a month on Saturdays that people can come and express their thoughts with the board. But I want to go out. If you've got 7 people on the board, there's nothing that stops you from actually knocking on doors and going to, the different events around town to make your face known, that people can, interact with you and reach out to you if they have, a concern, or even if they want to say good job, right? We shouldn't be seen as inaccessible. And, accountability, there's this saying, you get the government that you deserve. And I don't think that's right, but unless you are in these people's faces, similar to what SOS is doing, of saying, hey, I'm calling you on the carpet. What are you about? What do you believe in? People can run, they can run roughshod over you. And so it's up to our our residents to be engaged. And I want to be, to improve that engagement, that people are, that they do have a say in what's going on, and that they recognize that their voices are heard. Thank you.
Thank you. And I actually went ahead and added 30 extra seconds. So Maya, you will get that.
Thank you. I'm
same
sorry,
30
Maya.
extra seconds. No,
I didn't see the
that's
chat.
okay.
My bad.
I'll
keep it up.
That's okay. I could have stopped you, but you were in the middle of a sentence. I figured I'd let you finish the sentence. So
Thank you.
Maya, you'll get the extra 30 seconds as well. So I will update my timer to 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And then let me get the spotlight changed. There we go. All right. Whenever you're ready, ma'am. Oh, Connie, could you repeat the question?
I will. Yes, that's a lot. But you can see that it all kind of hooks up together. Yeah. So it's you're going to tell us your views on transparency in government, community involvement, or participation in decision making, accountability reporting to your constituents, and accessibility to your public.
Okay. All right, I'm going to start on the transparency and just work my way down here. So I'm not going to read what I wrote because I can just bullet point it. But, Park Forest has a great and long tradition of ethical political leadership in government. We don't practice patronism. We don't practice nepotism. We don't, practice, getting involved in it with the day-to-day staff. We let the village manager handle that. And that really keeps us well balanced. That's a check and balance process that we have. And it's important that we have it. We have transparent spending. We don't have backroom contracts and honest budgeting, and we don't make false promises. And these things can take place because of the absence of the aforementioned, right? And so I just want to make that clear. I'm proud to say that I don't take money from, vendors, Park Forest business. I haven't even been in the businesses to ask to put a sign up. Like, I don't want to cross that boundary at all, right? There are boundaries. And when you become an elected official, it's important that you understand that. I think that's what keeps the community honest. And so I'm going to stop there with that. We do have surveys and we have commissions, like, candidate Sloan said. I agree with everything that she said. And I do think we could do a better job somewhat with the website. I even think some of the issues fall under other drop downs. And I've seen, I'm like, oh, this should go there. But it's hard to get people to pay attention sometimes, but we do have a lot of ways that the community can get involved. I think that's what helps to build trust. It builds trust of staff. It builds trust of policing. It builds that trust when you get the community involved. I was sitting there thinking, what did we do years ago when there wasn't social media? Yeah. And how do people decide how to vote? I was literally just thinking that while candidate Sloan was talking. I was like, man, but we do have those things now, and we can always create more vices in order for the community to get involved. We just had a candidate forum earlier. We talked about doing an education commission, and that's important. But people have to get the ball rolling on that. I'm completely for it, but then you have to sign up. Trustees have to be involved to say how we're going to start the commission and so forth and so on. But we do have a lot of ways. There's a survey coming out soon. It's at 33 questions right now. We're trying to get it down, but just to kind of gauge how the public feels. In terms of our accountability, Park Forest is extremely accountable. We have everything on our website. We just received the Distinguished Budget Award for 2021. There are only 15 communities out of close to, I think, 1,200 cities in the state of Illinois that received that, because that's how transparent that we are. You can find anything on our website: audits, police and fire data, our strategic plan. Everything is on there. You don't have to worry. If you wake up in the middle of the night, you can look on and you can find it. And I've done that. Like, oh my gosh, I forgot about this. Guess what? It was on our website, and I had a form the next day. So it works. Just have to get, I think, more people interested in learning and wanting to learn about our transparency and wanting to know what's going on with their money. Who doesn't want to know what's going on with their money? And then last but not least, accessibility. I think we should be absolutely accessible. I just did a mailer. My home address is on the back. Like, this is where I live. That's important. I have my email on there. I gave out several cards with my cell number. I tell people, if you lose it, just email me and say, hey, can you call me real quick? We are the voice of the residents. There should be no question around accessibility, period.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies. Yeah. Okay. So
So Connie, I have I was gonna say I
have
have a question in the chat box. Yep.
we have a question in the
Let's see, I actually have, yep, I have two. So I'll
we'll
keep the
start
screen
with-
here on you. Yep, on you, Maya. I'll keep the screen. So the first question, we haven't received any others, I don't think, besides this first one. Okay, so Mary Joan asked, how would one get involved with this new committee with the police and fire?
So we are going to be accepting applications, and then the mayor is going to review the applications, and we'll all get to see them, but he's going to make recommendations, and the whole board, the entire board, will have to approve it. There'll be 5 members, or 5 civilians selected in order to be on this advisory council, and then also their terms will alternate. I can't remember how many years, but there'll be like a 1 year and then a 2 year and I believe a 3 year, so that it can, there's no, one particular group, keeping like some sort of control over the advisory council. So we just started. Initially, we'll have several meetings. I know we said like in the first 3 months, we're going to probably have several meetings to get it started, and then we'll move to quarterly meetings. There was a question earlier about, it was questioned earlier about the kind of authority that the advisory council would have. One thing we have to remember is that police and fire have unions, and so there's only so much authority we have over them. But I believe that the great thing about it is they'll be able to review reports and complaints, and we can see how we can better address complaints that are coming from the residents. And maybe we need more de-escalation training or things of that nature, but that council will be able to make that recommendation. And that's what I love. And people always talk about authority. It's not always about authority to me. It's about seeing how we can address issues. And that's what this council is for, to address any issues that civilians may have. And Chief Menino is great. Let me just say that about him. Let me give kudos to him. He is all for this. He's excited. He wants to know, and he wants to make this a better place for residents to live. And so do I. So there you go.
I have
Thank you.
question, please.
Mhm.
Are you aware that we already have a police and fire commission?
Yes. So it's different from the commission.
How is that?
Yeah. The commission actually addresses, like if there's going to be disciplinary actions, that's where the Police and Fire Commission comes in. The commission is actually mandated by the state of Illinois. That's something that's mandated, and they actually work with disciplinary actions and things on a much higher level. They have more authority. But that is that's mandated. This is not mandated. This is something to say, okay, we noticed that there have been complaints on, people getting to me tickets or whatever, because of stickers. How can we better address that? Or we noticed there's been a complaint of too many dogs barking. I mean, I'm just throwing out examples. Yeah. And so how do we better address those issues, so that residents can, feel more comfortable in the village? A lot of times what we notice is residents don't want to necessarily report things. They fear retaliation. This is something they can call another, resident and say, hey, I know you're in the council, because we expect the council members to be accessible and say this, I have an issue with this. Can you please address this at your next meeting, right? Because they don't, look, I'm not mad at them. Sometimes they don't trust us. They don't trust the village manager. They don't trust police. I get it. And I understand that. So then, hey, you can trust your resident, you can trust your neighbor to bring that concern back to the council, and let's talk about it.
Okay, because this is really what you're talking about is communication among the people in Park Forest. And if they have questions or issues, there's somebody they can talk to almost on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I add to that?
Thank you, Lynn.
Aaron,
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Lynn, for the follow-up question to
switch to
clarify
Aaron
that.
now. We're going to switch
Yep,
to Aaron.
we will switch to Aaron.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hi.
Okay, so
I just wanted to say-
Aaron, I was gonna say, I could give you if you want me to give you the same amount of time. However, it's just, it wasn't a,
No,
it was more of a
no.
function question. Okay.
Yeah,
You
no,
go
no,
ahead.
it'll be quick. I just want to say
Sure.
things like this commission, this advisory council, this is what makes Park Forest different and why we want to live in a place like Park Forest, right? If you were to try and enact this in any other municipality, let's say take Chicago, for instance, or some of the larger ones, you could be stonewalled, right? You could have a police chief that's not for it, or a board that's not in support of it. That's not how Park Forest works, because we are all about the health, the safety, the welfare of our neighbors. That something like this is encouraged from all of the powers that be, from all of the stakeholders. This is what makes it great, and why we want to continue to have opportunities like this for people to engage on matters that are really important to them.
So then when elected, you will work with this commission to make sure that it runs the way it should. You'll do everything so talk a little bit about that, because
Absolutely.
I know that's something that's in existence, but I want to give you a little time to input to that. Thank you.
So let's be perfectly honest.
I'll restart your 3 minutes for you. Just so you know, I'll restart that 3 minutes for this answer.
Cool, thank you. So to be honest, I come from a law enforcement family, right? And as a Black woman, I sit on this fence of my dad, my uncles, they're police officers, but then I also have the experience of a private citizen, where anywhere outside of Park Forest, I am afraid of my interactions with the police, right? So I understand and respect how people can have those challenges and not sure which way to go. I have that, and I am surrounded by law enforcement in my family, right? People that I love. So if I were appointed to this commission, or I would definitely want to be, kept abreast and participate if I could, to make sure that it is. Because what makes Park Forest really special is our police department is loved by people. We have, like, just from social media alone, you have followers from around the world, but we also have people that look to Park Forest, who's involved in training, that's involved in the diversity training and the responsible policing. These are things that should be celebrated, and our residents should know that we are setting the standard in the state of Illinois of how to police respectfully. But if there's any issues, that people need to be able to feel heard and trust that their matters will be dealt with accordingly. Thanks.
Thank you.
I have a request from Maya that she wanted to have a couple of seconds of response.
Okay.
Let me get to your spotlight. There we go. Okay, go right ahead. I'll give you another
Oh no, I don't
30
need that
seconds
much.
if that's.
I just
okay.
want to say, I'm going to hold you to that, Candace Sloan, because you don't understand how much work a commission or council is. It's a lot of work. I'm going to hold you to it. Should you get on, I'm going to make a request to the mayor that you are over it. You will be the liaison. That will be my request. I'm excited for all the work you're going to do.
Thank you very much for that trust, Maya.
May I interject something? A powerful team like this, showing this kind of ability to hook up at this particular point, is quite impressive. It is quite impressive, because while you're giving Erin that responsibility as the senior and more experienced one, you have an obligation and responsibility to make sure she doesn't fail. And that's the sisterhood. And that is the wonderful part of what we are witnessing here tonight. And I just wish more people would come on so they could see these kind of interactions occur. Because not only are we learning about the candidates, but we're learning from the two of you how you will interact. And that's very, very important in governance.
Thank you. That's an important point. Thank you.
Thank you both. Okay, we had I saw a question in the chat about
Yep, we have we got a couple others. So that was the first one. So the next one is from Lynn Farmer. She asked for both of you, what opinion do you have regarding our water plants and outsourcing some of our water? So whenever you're ready.
Can I get clarification?
Oh,
What do you mean
sorry.
by outsourcing our water? Is it outsourcing the running of it or the sale of surplus water?
I will say that it is hearsay, rumor, whatever, talking about sending some of our water to Hammond, Indiana, talking about selling our water. Over the past couple of years, there's been a lot of speculations about what to do with the wonderful water we have, that we're very proud of that. And I'm wondering if you're probably proud of it too. And we're going to keep it here, or are you aware that there's any thought of doing something to make some money?
Gotcha. Okay. Do I go first?
Yes. Oh.
Okay. So when I first moved back to the village, I heard that same rumor, Lynn, about the potential of what if we lease our water plant or sell our water plant, and I just about had a heart attack. I worked, like I said, I worked on public-private partnerships across the country. I was hired by the city of Chicago to try and help them get out of the parking meter lease that they had. And I am dead set against selling the water plant or bringing in a private operator. One of the benefits of being in the Civic Leadership Academy is we got the opportunity to tour the water plant, and it was amazing. And every village resident has the opportunity and can tour the plant. It's something that you really should take the village up on and tour, because you see all that goes into it, and it's high science. It's quality. It's the science behind it, and also the quality of the water is good. Now, the pipes that it runs through has, met its useful life, and those pipes need to be replaced. And we've been under a multi-year replacement program, but the water is exceptional. I drink it from my Brita pitcher. I'm not a bottled water kind of gal, but it is one that we should be proud of, and we should maintain control of it. We don't want to go the way of like a University Park where they still can't drink their water, and they outsourced it to Aqua, and God knows what the lasting impacts are for the community. When it comes for selling water, additional surplus of the water, when it comes to hooking up to the pipes and the plants, I don't have all of the details about that. But outside of oil, petroleum, water is the next most valuable resource. And the fact that we sit on our own aquifer, that you can control your destiny at that point. So as long as we have enough here for our village, that it's maintained properly, and if we can sell the surplus, I'm not against that whatsoever, to bring in additional revenue for the village. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, Maya, let me change the spotlight. Okay, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. I'm going to agree with candidate Sloan. And I have not toured the water plant. However, I have toured Aqua a few years ago. Jim Belota is their government relations person, and I used to do government relations, and he invited me to come and tour. Prior to working for United Way, I did government relations for McPeer, so I got to know a lot of people. But I do know the process. It is indeed a very interesting and intricate process, and I do like the fact that we have our own water. One thing, if you privatize, and I know this for a fact, if you privatize, water rates tend to go up. We control our water rates, and we don't want to do that. I would be against privatizing our water, because I do know Aqua has raised it on University Park as well. And most of the time when you do privatize it, then whoever's owning it tends to raise it. So we have our own water. It's good water. We can maintain our water. I think we should do that. In terms of selling it, if we had a surplus and it could bring in revenue, sure, but I want to make sure we have that surplus. I want to make sure our residents are covered. And when I say surplus, I mean like 5 times over. Like, okay, we have so much, it's just raining and pouring water. And then let's talk about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have
Thank
any more
you.
questions in queue?
Yep, there sure is. So I'll leave you up there, Maya, for the next one. Let's see. The next question comes from Sandra Sloan. How can our village board work with our school districts to improve student achievement? So Maya, whenever you're ready.
So we actually just, because we had a forum earlier, we kind of touched upon this. We have to be very careful, for one, because the school board is its own entity, right? And we want to work in partnership with them. We want to work in partnership with whatever district, because it could be several school districts. I don't know if it's necessarily related to our 162, 163, or 227, or even the charter school. I'm not sure what he's referring to, but either way, they have their own boards. And so what we would like to do, if we could, I think if it was going to be beneficial, it would be a partnership, because we're not in there to take over or do control what they have going. And so I would be in favor of an education commission to see what that assistance could look like. But I just think that, just to make sure that I'm not treading on anybody's feet here, I want to know that it would be a partnership. I don't know what that partnership would look like, but I would definitely support some sort of partnership in order to create support for students. And they do need it. And they're going to really need it coming out of COVID-19 and this remote working. They're going to need it more than ever. I mean, it's something we're going to do. We should start to work on it right away, because I know that students are struggling. I know several teachers. My son is a math teacher at Crete-Monee High School. So I understand what students are going through. He talks to me about it all the time. And so, if that's something we want to do, I say, let's get going. Well, we probably want to wait until after April 6th, but but shortly after that, I always say, don't start something you can't finish. But yeah, I would, even so, even if I'm not elected on the board, I still would be a part of that, because it's anything to support the community. I'm always for anything that supports the community, and our kids will definitely need that. Thank you.
Erin?
Thank you, Maya.
I need a little background. My mother used to be the school board president of 162. So, and is a career educator. So that's where that question comes from. So thanks, Mom. We need to know where our tax dollars are going. So in Cook County, more than 50% across Cook County, so not just Park Forest, but across Cook County, more than 50% of the schools of your property taxes go to your school districts. Given the fact that people are using that number to decide whether or not they want to locate into your community, we need to know how those tax dollars are being used. I think it's important that we have some sort of partnership or liaison. We need to have ongoing communication between our village board, so we can, and as well as the school boards for the various school districts. And I think it's something like 6 that touch us. We need to know what's going on there, because that is a reflection on our community and people's willingness to bring their families there. So to make sure that their students are getting the education that they desire. Anytime you have an increase in taxes and, it's for a gym, I don't know. I really need to know, how is that new gymnasium going to, or field house, or whatever you want to call it, from the high school down to the elementary school. I need to know, if you're raising the taxes, how is this going to improve the outcome of our students' achievement? We need to know, hey, they're going to raise their rates, their tax rates for the public, with every single school district and the village, even though the village was very small, tax increase, to know every single district increase their taxes. Where is this money going for, and how is it benefiting our children? Is it going to multiple layers of administration, or what? We need to know this and be able to hold them accountable as residents, but also as a village, to know this is what's happening in our village and with our students. We had, for the League of Women Voters, there was a forum last week where they invited every single school district, the superintendent to every single school district, to come and talk to the League of Women Voters, to just say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what's going on in the community. And only one superintendent and principal from the same, from Rich 227 actually came and attended. One school district, their board actually voted to stop their superintendent from participating in the forum. I have a problem with that. What is there to hide? This, when we're talking about transparency and accountability, that is the time where they need to show up and to show out, hey, this is a presentation. We are stakeholders as well. I might not have any children, but to make sure for the future of my community and the financial stability of my community, I want to know what's going on in all the school districts. So I think we need to have some sort of, of communication liaison between it. And I think that education commission that we talked about earlier could be something where, even if a couple of residents took each school district, maybe that they had children in, or that were in their part of Park Forest, and report back what's going on. Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Let me get back to our questions over here, and we're still on that education question. Maya, you're muted, so unmute yourself. There you go. And we'll start you out, and I will give you 3 minutes and 20 seconds to make sure that we're being fair with the time here. 3 minutes and 20. So the question was, how can our village board work with our school districts to improve student achievement?
Well, I thought that was the question I was answering. I'm sorry.
Oh, did you already answer that?
Yeah, we answered that.
Skipping? I'm so sorry. Okay.
I thought it was me.
Okay.
No,
We've answered so many questions today.
Yeah, no, I know.
right. It's
I
already
love
been a
it.
lot.
I love
So
that questions coming in from the
I appreciate
community.
your
Those are the community questions.
I appreciate your diligence.
Yeah.
It's a lot to try to coordinate all this. So I appreciate your patience and understanding with my mistake. Okay. So then the next question is, let me see.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Okay. So from Mary Joan, there's a question, and it says, in today's earlier forum, and I'm unaware of which one this was, or maybe we need some follow-up or someone can clarify. In today's earlier forum, candidate Travis, so Joshua Justin Travis, was asked a question, and the answer included the mention of the mayor's agenda in it, as far as being in his quote pocket if elected. Ms. Hardy, have you seen this occur? And Ms. Sloan, how would you deal with this if it came up? So just to clarify, I'm guessing.
Might I interject
go ahead.
here? Might I interject here? First of all, that I would like to answer, Mary. We're asking these candidates to inject their feelings on what someone else answered in another forum. That's kind of difficult to do. And it might not be to the advantage of how we're spending time this evening. So I'm going to ask Mary if it's okay to forego that question for right now. And if we have time toward the end, maybe we can take up something similar. I think what Mary's trying to get at, and Mary, you let me know if I'm correct, is it seems as though there is a particular sleight of running things that some mayor somewhere wants to just grasp all this power. We do have politicians like that. We just finished 4 years of one at the head of the country. And we can all have our opinions about that. But tonight, we're going to forego that for a while. And Mary, please ask all the other questions you'd like.
Can we reframe the question?
Would you like to do that, Mary? Okay. Mary's going to reframe the
He
question,
said, sure.
and I'm going to go on, and you go on and reframe it, put it in the chat, and we'll get right back to it. Thank you, Mary. So I want to, you ladies are awesome. I want you to know that you're very impressive. I reside in Olympia Fields. I'm your neighbor, but my first home out here was in Park Forest. I lived over near Summonock Park, and I raised my children over there, and they went to Ritchie's High School and graduated. And I'm very proud of their background in education. I too am a retired educator. So hats off to moms that do that kind of work. That's great work. List 3 strategies that you will put into practice to bring improved commerce and business to your constituent community. How can you encourage business? What can you do to make sure we're developing business and commerce in these communities? We'll start with.
All right, and Maya.
Maya.
Yep. Let me get the timer ready. Okay, 3 minutes and begin whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you. So, oh boy, we've gone over this one a few times. I know one of the things that we need to do is we need to better market our businesses. That is for sure. I think I'm not. Jason Miller is our director of marketing, and he's doing a good job. But there's always room for improvement. So I'm not gonna throw him under the bus in any by any means, because he does a great job, and he's always there, and we definitely appreciate him. But we could increase our marketing. And I don't know what that looks like. That's something that I think we should all talk about, have a conversation about, and come to some solutions. I also think that we need to do a better job soliciting our businesses. I'm not quite sure how they, if they just come to Park Forest because they hear about it. I know some of them said, they like the community, but how are we soliciting businesses and what kinds of businesses? Earlier we were in a forum and we were saying, why don't we ask the residents what kind of businesses they'd like to see? We do have a survey coming out. I got to look over that 33 questionnaire and see if that's one of the questions. I don't know if I want to add it because we're just trying to shorten it, but that is something we definitely could do as well. And we need to develop incentives. I think more incentives for businesses to come. I'm not sure what those incentives look like, but I don't want to give the story, the house away like they do in other communities. They have tax abatement. I don't want to do that, but maybe we could develop some other incentives for them to come. We do have our challenges, but we have been overcoming our challenges. In the earlier forum, I think one of my first ones, I listed like 10 businesses. I had done like 10 grand openings, and I had only been in office like 18 months. And I think I missed 2. Unfortunately, I missed 2. But so we are continuing to have businesses open, and that's not even including the office space that we use, because we have organizations and other businesses that just use the office space and don't necessarily have grand openings. So we are continuing to expand. I'm very proud of that. But we want to see something bigger, right? We got Pete's Produce over here in Madison. And everybody's like, okay, where's ours? And I understand it. I get it. I want it too. And hopefully, we'll get more businesses like that. But I think those are just a few of the things that we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Aaron, let me see. Okay, Aaron, whenever you're ready.
So Park Forest downtown, I think, is one of it's a gem to see the number of small businesses that are there, the variety from a smoothie shop to sweet shop to wine shop to gym. We have a music school, arts, it's paint and sip, you name it, a playhouse for kids, but the residents don't know. And if our community members don't know, how will anybody outside of the community know? We need to be shouting this from the mountaintops, right? Come to Park Forest. Park Forest, don't go to Tinley Park. You don't have to go to Homewood. Oh, no knock on Homewood. They have, we don't have anything for sushi or Pan Asian in Park Forest, so I do go there occasionally. But we need to be able to keep our dollars here, and we need to be able to patronize those businesses so they can remain in our community. I think it's important that we take a pulse of what kind of businesses do we want here. Yeah, you know, people talk about a Pete's, but we are surrounded by grocery stores. That might not be it. You know, one thing we don't have a nursery. You know, we have this beautification committee, but where can we go and buy plants or flowers? That's just something that came up to me as one of the members of the little gardening series that I attend every year. But we need to, you know, try and think outside of the box when it comes to developing businesses and our economic development. I want to see some healthy eating establishments here in Park Forest. We have the community garden where, you know, it would be neat to be able to buy some of that produce, or we have they already have the kids there, but you know, it's something that we need to encourage people to keep our dollars here, but we have to know what's here. You have places like I look at Oak Park. They had a renovation, a revival of their downtown, and their Chamber of Commerce is constantly with announcements of new businesses. And it's not just via email, it's on social media. You're getting text messages to try and encourage people to come out and to see what's going on. The fact that most of downtown is almost leased up, except for our beloved theater. I know we all miss that part. But, you know, when we have the tall grass and we have Theater 47, there are quality shows and art that is here. We need to be proud of that. And so if we want Park Forest residents to know, we want people in Chicago Heights and Flossmoor and what have you to know, because this is something special that we need to cultivate. And like Maya said, not give away the house. Matson, they have Pete's, but there was a $9 million abatement. What happens in 20 years after that abatement? All those tax revenues are gone. What happens when Amazon leaves after they've gotten, you know, almost 350 million in taxes from Madison and University Park? You'll be left with an empty box. We need people that are actually going to invest in our community.
Thank you.
Well, we do have a question in the queue, right?
Yep, let me see. Yes. So Mary went ahead and kind of restated her question. So she says, a shortened version to get that same maybe answer would be, how would you deal with an agenda by any given member of the board / mayor? And I believe, let's see. So Aaron, actually, you would stay on to answer that since you ended the last one. So how would you deal with an agenda by any given member of the board / mayor?
When we talk about transparency, we have to be very careful when it comes to agendas. We have to be cognizant of the use of social media and the liability that it might impact the village first and foremost. But when it comes to an agenda, you know, the mayor and every trustee, they are one voice and one vote. That's the beauty of a council manager form of government, is that it's the council that decides and puts forth an agenda. Every single person that sits on that dais that was elected by a resident of Park Forest, it is their responsibility to carry forth not only the thoughts and wishes of those people that put them in place, but they need to be able to work together. There will be times where people are not necessarily in lockstep, where they agree on every single issue and every matter, but they have to agree to be collegial. They have to agree to work together and not to badmouth or undercut or undermine one another. That is counterproductive, and it is not in the best interest of the residents. So there needs to be accountability for individuals, and you cannot throw one person under a bus for your personal political gain. We need to bring integrity and honesty back to the conversation, that you have to present the full facts and not partial facts. or alternative facts that we learn, but we have to be able to work together. And it's not one person's agenda. We're here for the betterment of every single resident, for the health, safety, and welfare of each park forester.
Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. And Maya?
I agree wholeheartedly with everything that Erin said. You know, ironically, we do deal with some of that, and we have dealt with some of that. And you haven't heard it because we don't air our dirty laundry for the most part. We had maybe one board meeting where we kind of gave our personal feelings because, you know, when we ask each other to be honest, and we have expectations of each other. I think that happens with any organization. If you have colleagues that you work with and you have expectations of them, and when your colleague says, you know what, I'm sorry, I did that and I shouldn't have done that, and then you go, okay, that's cool, don't worry about it, you know, we'll just blow it over. But then they do it again, and then they do it again, and then they do it again, and then you're like, okay, hold on, this is not making for a good working relationship. And I think that we had one point there where we said, this is not working. It's not working with any of us because it keeps happening to all of us. So we did have one little bump in the road there. But for the most part, you know, we talk about things individually with each other, you know, or in executive session, so that we can come to some sort of consensus per se. And then we come out before the public and let them know what's going on. When I interviewed for the position as trustee, one of the things I told the people that were interviewing me is that I don't like mess. I don't want to be a part of a board that is messy. How do you expect people that want to come here or bring their businesses here? They don't want to bring a business here if we're going to be messy. That is not going to happen. We will not get economic development. I know that because I talk to businesses. We won't be able to further any agenda, and it'll just be, you know, one, and it'll start turning to one person or another. And that's not what I wanted to be involved with. So I told them, you know, if that's something that, you know, is because I didn't know what was happening. I said, please don't choose me because I don't like mess. I don't want to be in the paper. You know, I want to do positive, progressive things. I want to be a part of community impact. I want to be a part of positive policy making. So that is, you know, that's something I stress even before taking the position. But I do think that, you know, the communication is the key, and we've stressed that with each other, and we've actually worked it out. You may have watched a couple of meetings where we didn't necessarily, you know, appoint some commissioners or people, you know, people to get on commissions because we didn't agree. And sometimes that's what it comes down to. But we are always cognizant and watching each other and seeing what's going on because it does happen. So we are watching, we are paying attention, we are asking for resumes, we are asking each other what is going on to make sure there are checks and balances. But at the end of the day, you will see that we come before you and it is not a hot mess. And we we either agree to disagree, but you know, it is done respectfully.
Can I add one thing? I'm sorry.
No,
Maya brought something up when she said mess. And I think about when Park Forest lost Rich East, the message was lost in the mess. That board was as dysfunctional could get. And the desires and the thoughts and the wishes of the Park Forest residents to maintain the highest performing school in the district, that was lost because people were busy fighting amongst themselves. That's not what we need.
I appreciate that. Maya, did you want to follow up with anything concerning that piece? I can give you anytime, or you're okay? Okay.
You're good on this.
Sure.
Amen.
Okay, so
I want to ask the question. I want to ask the question from SOS.
Yeah, we need to alternate back, and then we have
about taxes, about how you as candidates, and once you become elected, what do you see as your role in assisting with getting the taxes lowered in the in Park Forest? Park Forest has a wonderful reputation now of being #1 in the country their tax rates are just off the chain. And so I know normally, that your position is not going to let you do all of that, but there are things can be done. And I'd like to get your vision on what are the things you think you can do to help get these taxes lowered.
Okay, can I go?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, it's interesting. I said in an earlier forum in our earlier forum, a political director will tell you, no matter what, don't answer any tax questions, right? Stray away from that. Nobody wants to hear about taxes, and they teach you actually how to evade that answer. And I'm not going to do that. Like I'm not doing that. And I explained that in the earlier forum. That's not going to. If I make a decision, I'm going to explain why I made it, and that's just the end all. But I think, one thing I always want to mention is I'm your neighbor. I pay taxes too. So when you raise taxes, I'm not your state rep living in Chicago Heights or senator living in Kankakee. I live right here. I'm going to pay just like you are. And I live in West Lincolnwood. So, I'm paying taxes. But I think some of the things that we can do I think we can work better with, I want to say the state legislature, right? Because our homes are too dependent upon our tax structure to help fund education. That's always been talked about, but there needs to be some action toward it. And I actually had mentioned that to our village manager. I think a lot of our municipalities are experiencing this. And I think if we work with maybe South Suburban mayors and managers to come up with a different sort of structure to present to the state, that would be most helpful. I used to work for State Rep. Davis. As many of you know, he is always on the education committee, as it's deeply important to him. And I think that it's time that we present some answers. I know if you ever go to a legislator and you say, this is my problem, they're going to say, okay, how do we fix it? And they want to know what you think. And I think it's about time we present some answers. I also think that we need to just continue to bring in more economic development as best we can, right? Because that's the only other way we can help offset some of that tax burden. And I explained earlier the ways I think we should do that. I see I got 1 minute left. Okay. And then we do have some other things that we do. We get a lot of grants in the village. People, we had one forum where one of the candidates didn't think grants was a big thing. Grants are huge and they're not easy to get and they're extremely competitive. How do I know? Because United Way is a grantee and they're very competitive. You have all these cities that are applying for these grants and we're getting them. They help offset the budget. They do matter. And so I think we should continue to apply for grants to help offset a lot of the revenue that we're missing per se. And one of the ways we do that, like we rehab homes. When we rehab homes, it helps to put the homes back on the tax rolls. And it also brings in extra revenue for the village, right? So they might be small revenues, 30,000 here, 40,000 here, but they add up. And so I think we need to continue along with those small projects that help bring in revenues and definitely continue to pursue our grants. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right on time. Thank you. All right, let me see. Erin.
I want to, one of the things that Maya brought up, the fact that we can get grants. The only reason that Park Forest is able to get grants is because of the financial position that has been responsibly managed for years. Compared to some of our neighboring communities, they do not have that ability and that advantage. So the fact that our professional staff has been that diligent in managing our finances to afford us the opportunity to even apply for those grants is quite exceptional, and we should continue that. But one of the things that we're talking in the previous forum about, just by the fact of us living in the state of Illinois, who has been behind on our pension obligations, the county of Cook, who's done the same, our taxes are high. All of Southland's taxes are high. Park Forest, the fact that it's a residential community and we do not have the amount of businesses for to put into our tax rolls, that has been extremely impactful. But the majority of our tax bills go to education. That's the way it's funded here in Illinois. This is the time for us to bring our not only Park Forest, but the other communities, along with our state representatives, to demand, not ask, but to demand that these changes happen down in Springfield. Because it's not just Park Forest, it's not just the Southland, but it is the state of Illinois, period. You have people in rural communities whose schools also need help, but they are reliant upon the property taxes. That's not fair. We just can't do that, especially if we're not an affluent community. So this is the time for us to build a coalition. You know, I think the village is quite fortunate to have a trustee like Trustee Hardy, who has relationships with, you know, other communities and businesses around, that we can really get this ball moving, that we can gain that momentum. If we need to have witness slips down in Springfield when things are being, and certain bills are being presented, well, let's do it. If we do have an education commission, I think that is a great organizing front, or even, you know, Save Our Southland, where we can all coordinate, and the groups that are Action for Better Tomorrow. And there's a number that have popped up in the Southland, that we can actually come together and demand that we have some improvement and some relief for these taxes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have one more question in the chat box that I would like to get to, and that will be the last question in the chat we'll be able to take tonight for time's sake. So let me get this before it rings. Okay, let's see. There we go. Okay.
I didn't go over
so the one more. No, you had a few seconds left, so you're good. Okay, so the next question, Erin, you'll be able to start. So Sandra Sloan asked, how do you feel about privatizing parts of the village, like the Aqua Center and library, for example?
You better not touch our library. The library is the gem of Park Forest and, you know, the residents of Olympia Fields. I think, you know, there are improvements that I would love to see happen with our library, making, you know, perhaps it could be bigger, you know, expand the children's center, because our library is used. But over my dead body, would I allow someone to come in and try and privatize or even sell that building? I don't think it is responsible governance. When it comes to places like, now the management, if you wanted to manage the Aqua Center, that might be something different, right? If there was a business that was actually in the business of managing the pools and things like that, but I would not want to privatize it at all. Now, there are some things that can be done, like, you know, if it's street sweeping, if there were contracts, somebody could, you know, clean the streets less expensively. We've already privatized our garbage collection here in Park Forest. We don't do that ourselves. I think those are responsible ways to do it. But when it comes to actually disposing of our assets, like the Aqua Center or the library or our water department, absolutely not. I made my living advising against, you know, such actions and actually proving it out financially why it doesn't necessarily work in the long term. So no, I'm not for, you know, just willy-nilly giving away pieces of our parkland or Freedom Hall or anything else that we have.
Thank you.
All right, and let me get the spotlight changed. There we go. Okay, Maya, go right ahead.
I'm going to
Do
really.
you want me to repeat the question, or you're good?
No. Oh, no. I'm good. I'm actually going to piggyback off of that willy-nilly, because that is exactly what I think of when I hear that. This isn't the first time I've heard the privatizing, you know, kind of conversation per se. It takes me back to our water, right? We privatize water, rates go up, right? So definitely not for privatization. I don't understand what there is to gain. It is an asset, right? That is an asset. When you have assets, why would you privatize them? So that, because when you do that, then you lose control. And then if rates go up and people stop coming and stop supporting, then what do you do? Because you've already, you know, given it over to someone. So why you would do that, I have no idea. Now it's different with the garbage. Garbage is totally different because you have to buy garbage trucks and you have to have a whole team of people. That is something totally different. You got to maintain the garbage trucks and things, something totally different. That is a service. And I do believe that that should remain a service. But the Aqua Center is not a service. The library is not a service. It's a building. It is where people come to learn. It is an asset that we have. I also like to, and I'm going to throw this out there, and I'm not trying to accuse anybody of anything, but I think when you start to privatize, you open the door sometimes, depending on who's in, on the board, you kind of open the door for corruption. I've seen that when you privatize there, because then your prominent company comes in and you say, I'll get you this contract, you can have this. And I'm not for that. When the village maintains it and we have those checks and balances, then that's the way to keep out corruption as well. And so for that reason as well, I think we should keep it in-house so that we can all see what's going on with the budget and keep those checks and balances in place.
Yeah, and I think you have to think about your community. You bring in privatization companies to manage this and manage that and do this and do that. And these people are not even living in your community. Yep. They're not vested in your community. The only thing that they're looking to do is make profits. And however that's going to work out, that's going to work out. So, I mean, that sounds like sound and reasonable management to me, that you clear on what you will and will not do. There is a last question we want to ask, and it has to do with what will you do to address systemic racism in this community?
Well, last year has been a very challenging year. I know that. And, you can't prevent racism, right? I keep seeing it on TV that it's a virus. People have signs, racism is a virus, especially with the recent, crimes against Asians. It's a virus. You can't prevent it. People are going to feel how they want to feel. But I think some of the ways that we can address it is to educate the public. You have to, education is our tool. That is our strongest tool. Educate. We constantly have I think forums, and we have we just did a poetry event yesterday. Things like that our Commission on Human Relations is really good for that, and creating events that educate, make it a little bit fun, and when we can get together, we have some food, and then that people come, and that's how you educate people. Also, I think that people think of racism and they kind of connect it with policing sometimes as well. And so because that's what it's been connected to this last year to a certain degree. And so I want to commend our police department. They actually strongly engage when we're able to, with our different neighborhoods, and they go out there and they spend time, and we have fun events so that communities are coming out, the individual communities within the community are coming out of the neighborhoods to engage with the police, because a lot of people feel like the police are racist, and I don't think they are. And if they are, I don't see it. And it's a good thing they don't bring it to work if they are, because that's not their job. Their job is to serve and protect. And we want our community to feel safe. But I do believe, again, that education is the key. And as long as we continue to do that, and we can have fun events around it, because sometimes, if you take things too seriously, that it doesn't go over well. So we try and mix it in, have a little fun again, and bring some food, and bring some, some guests out that, are really well known. But we want to make sure we're getting that message out. We are a diverse community. And I think that's one of the reasons that people live here, is because we are diverse. It's one of the reasons I moved here. I love the fact that our community is diverse. It teaches our youth, as we're raising kids, it teaches them that you know how to live in harmony with other races. And so I applaud our community for that. I want our community to remain diverse, and let that be one of the things that really highlights this community, is that we do get along in harmony. And this is a great place to live with other races. Thank you.
Thank you. And yep, let me get her on the spotlight. Here we go. Okay, go right ahead.
When it comes to racism, I maybe as a child growing up, one or two incidences, but for me, it was not necessarily systemic. It was individuals, uninformed individuals, children at that. But I think the thing that we can really address is representation. I think one of the things that you see with our police force, we have, our police force, we have a mix of women and Latino and Black and white. I think that's the way it should be. I'd like to see that kind of representation in other areas of the village, the fire department and in Village Hall and in other places. I think representation matters, that people see someone that looks like them. That people, we have our diversity dinners that we have, that have gone on in the community for decades. I think this is something that we could, really up a little bit, that we do more of them, that we have an understanding of what it is to really live in community. It's one thing to get the census numbers, but it's another thing to really know who your neighbors are. One of the beauties of, I live in the cooperatives right now, and in my immediate court, we have just about every, or at least in Cedarwood proper, we have just about every race represented here, from Asian to Black to Latino to African to people of Native descent. That's the beauty of it, that you get to know your neighbors and you're living in harmony, and that you actually know people as people and not just as, as a group. So I think it's something that we can continue to do more, especially coming out of this very difficult year and a half so far of race relations in the community. But we cannot be afraid to have the conversations about race. I think that's something that we've seen in the past of people just wanting to gloss over of, oh, that doesn't exist here. We have it in our churches. We see people that are coming to the food bank, the food bank. There are people of all races that are there, right? We are all people in need, and we're all neighbors, and we need to see one another as neighbors and work together and live in harmony.
Thank you, Erin. And Maya had requested a follow-up to this response, so I can give you 1 minute if that's okay. Okay, sure. Go ahead.
I actually walked Erin's area. And I just want to give a quick shout out to some of the wonderful neighbors that I met, because it is very diverse. There's Evelyn, there's Philip, there is Mel, there's Joyce and her AKA Hips, and Leah. I love the people in court, and there are different people. So I love it. Very nice people, very welcoming. I just want to give that shout out. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's community, right? That's what we want. That's what we strive for. And that's why I think a lot of us love Park Forest so much. And so that completes the questioning that we wanted to get through tonight. Of course, we would love to go through more. However, time is not on our side. I know that also, ladies, Maya and Erin, that you had a forum already today, and this is your second round, right? So the stamina and the time and effort that you took to be here to answer all these questions is really appreciated, and is awesome. And what this does is gives us an idea of your commitment level, right, to your position or potential position. So we really appreciate all of your time. Connie, did you want to go through the closing, or would you like me to?
I want to give them at least 2 minutes to say something finally to all of the voters and potential voters out there. Why should we vote for you? And I want you to tell the voter, answer that question for the voter. And so we should start with Erin.
Okay, let me get her spotlight. Okay, and we'll go ahead and did we say 2 minutes or 3? I'm sorry.
3. If we have 3, we can do 3.
I don't know if I have
We can
3
do
minutes.
3.
No.
Go ahead and start.
I
We'll
think
go ahead.
my Girl Scouts and my apples, my snack of Girl Scout cookies and apples, I'm like, no, I'm just joking.
All right, go ahead.
I want to thank SOS for hosting this forum and asking really good and really tough questions on the questionnaire. I was like, oh, these are the questions that people really want to know and are asking. So I thank you guys. But I want to just summarize. There's 4 things about me that I am focusing on. I want to attract new businesses and residents to the village. I want to improve the communication and the engagement with our residents, with our school districts, with our regional representatives. I want to, continue to improve and maintain the village infrastructure and our amenities, but do it financially and fiscally responsibly, which the village has had a long history of doing. And lastly, I want to address the village issues with the highest level of ethics, integrity, and respect. We're all neighbors. We live next door to one another. We cannot afford to be fighting amongst ourselves. I encourage everybody to check out my website. It's votesloan, SLONE.com. And you can learn more about my background, the things that I'm focused on, the things that I believe in. And I look forward to getting out in the community these last couple of weeks before the election to get to know more people and to hear really what it is that, folks want to focus on. You've got 3 votes and I'd like to be one of them. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. And Maya, if you're ready, go ahead.
Okay. You know what? One thing that's always important to me is to run a good, clean, honest campaign. And that's something that I've done. And I've done it because I want residents to get to know me, not my opponents, not anything they have to say, only what I've done and what I'd like to do. And when I was out here, I was talking to residents, ask me questions, let me know what concerns you. And I've gotten that, and I so appreciate that. So I want to say thank you to them for that. I'm a Hamilton fan, and one of the lines in there is that he wants to build something that's going to outlive him. And that's what I want to do. I want to build something that's going to outlive me. And I don't want to make a career out of being a politician, but I do have some things on the agenda that I'd like to get done and make sure that they stay in place to support the community. Economic development may flip-flop, but there are things that I can do, I think, in terms of community support and resources to make sure that they're there for you and to help you and to help, your families and your friends and things of that nature. I want to represent you, of course, always with honesty, integrity, and ethically, which is to me the most important, because when you're in a position like this, you have to think ethics. Ethics is so important, because if you're not there, this community can turn into something totally different. And then I'd be ready to move, and I'm not ready to move. So I want to make sure we do that. Your health and safety and welfare is always important. And when I make decisions around that. So always keep that in mind, please. I have the support of Congresswoman Robin Kelly, Senator Patrick Joyce, Senator Michael Hastings, State Representative Debbie Myers-Martin, Will Davis, and as well as Cook County Commissioner Donna Miller, because they know me. I've worked with them for over 20 years. They know my passion. They know that I will represent this village in the right manner and be ethical while I'm doing so. I've been having conversations with the candidate via Zoom. I have one more left. It's going to be on, I think it's March 31st at 7 p.m. And if you're interested, please look at my social media platform to get more information. It's Maya in Chicago. If that's not working for you, you can email me at trusteemayahardy@yahoo.com. And I'm just going to humbly ask for your vote. You do get 3 of them. I hope I am one of them. And I want to thank the committee, SOS organization, Save Our South organization, for having this. There were very, very good questions. I'm glad we got to address a lot of different things from earlier, and I love the conversation with the girls. I just love it. It was lot
It
of
just
fun.
worked out that way, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
so I like the guys too, but I love the girls that girls just want to have more fun. So
Yeah.
thank you all so very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. And
Thank
thank
you.
all
Thank
I
you.
would like to say one thing. I
Mhm.
would like to say one thing. How proud I am to have lived in Park Forest since 1950 and to see what we still have today. Thank you for your dedication to keeping our community great. Both of you. Mm.
Yes,
Well, on that note, I
definitely.
think that we can let these ladies go and relax. I know it's well. Thank you, and I know you're going to be blessed and then become the blessing. So I am so very humbled by having met you today. I'm so very proud to see the sisters out there doing their thing. I am so not that the brothers came, but I'm so proud to see women stepping into leadership, and with all of this, with all of the ethics that are involved. You're right. Ethics is the important piece here. Making great decisions on behalf, the best decision on behalf of people who sometimes don't even recognize what we want all the time, from our leaders. But thank you for being here, being in this place. And I am just over the moon with this. This is awesome. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. And to our audience participants, thank you so much for checking in, for caring enough about your community and the places where we live. Only we can make these places greater by really being informed, educated voters who do the right thing every time. It's not about friendships. I keep saying that. It's not about friendships. Your friend can be your best friend ever, but cannot run their shoes over. So we need to notice that there's a difference in those requirements. So we want to love our friends and hold on to them. But if they aren't the people to do these jobs, we need to vote responsibly for people like yourselves, both Trustee Maya Hardy and candidate Aaron Sloan. Thank you, and the best of blessings to both of you.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Bye
Good
bye.
night.
And with that, before you log off, sorry, that's my fault. Hopefully you're all still there. So we just wanted to remind you, we do have an upcoming forum tomorrow, and that's for the Rich Township First Party. That's going to be tomorrow, Monday, March 22nd at 6:30 p.m. It's also via Zoom, just like this. You can register for that with the link bit.ly/richtowngovt2. So this will be just the first party, the Rich Township First Party tomorrow, which is candidate Calvin Jordan with his party. And so that will be tomorrow. Yes, it's his slate. I'm sorry. And so that will be tomorrow evening. And then know that this recorded video will show up on our YouTube channel. That will be up, I would say, 48 to 72 hours after tonight. I'm going to do it as quick as I possibly can because tomorrow starts early voting. And I want to make sure everybody can get a chance to watch. You can also like our page on Facebook. You could search Save Our Southland SOS, and you'll also find our private group that you can request to join. We encourage candidates and audience members, community members to join that. We have great discussions in there. We share news with each other, and you can also share your campaign information in there. And then if there's any question, comments, or other concerns, you can email us at saveoursouthland@gmail.com. If you look in the chat box, which I will stop this share so that it's a little easier to see. If you look in the chat box, you will see a link that I just placed in there for the feedback survey. It's a very quick survey, maybe 5 questions or less, yes or no, or easy answers. If you can let us know how you liked this experience and how maybe we could do better, or what you liked a lot, what you want to see moving forward. This is our first go at this, so we appreciate your understanding and patience. and we would like to improve. And so we want to capture what we did well and get better what we need to improve upon. And so with that is the end. Now we're finally finished. I'm so sorry that it took so long, but now it's 6:46 and then we're actually ending perfectly on time. That we wanted to, yeah. So of course we had a lot more questions, but you ladies need your rest. You need to get a bathroom break and some water at least. So thank you so much. I mean, I know we're all been sitting here the whole time, so I already know. But yes, thank you so much again to the two candidates here, and thank you to my SOS co-board members, and we will see you soon.
Now,
Thank
this
you
will
so
be
much. Have a
recorded,
great.
and you can go on our website. We will send you the link. You can post this recording on your own sites and send it out to friends. Encourage people to share it, so they can see you under this tough scrutiny. You know, well you do that.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Look for that in your email. You'll get the recording of this. The link will be a YouTube public video recording, and so you'll get that via email. The moment that it becomes available, you'll get it via email. Thanks so much, ladies.
Thank
Have
you.
a great evening
Have a
and
good
good
night.
luck.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have
Thank
a good
you.
night. Bye bye.